Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. It all started with a phone call. Just an ordinary Friday evening, and I was standing in the kitchen stirring a pot of spaghetti when my buddy Nate called. "Hey, Evan, can you talk?" Nate sounded hesitant. I could hear something heavy in his voice, something he was holding back. I pressed the phone closer. "Yeah, what's up?" There was silence for a beat too long. Then he sighed. "Listen, man. I saw Maya today. She was with some guy. They didn't look like coworkers, if you catch my drift." I froze, my heart thudded. "What do you mean, where?" "At this coffee shop downtown. I wasn't going to say anything, but, Evan, they were holding hands." I tried to stay calm, but my mind was already racing. Holding hands? Maya was supposed to be at work. "Maybe it's a misunderstanding," I mumbled, not sure if I was reassuring him or myself. "I hope so, man," Nate replied softly. "But I thought you'd want to know." The call ended, and I just stood there staring at the pot of boiling spaghetti, the steam fogging up the kitchen. Later that night, I brought it up to Maya. "Hey," I said as casually as I could, "how was work today?" She was scrolling through her phone on the couch. "Busy, same as always." I swallowed hard. "Did you go anywhere after?" She looked up at me, her eyes narrowing just a bit. "Why are you asking?" "No reason," I said quickly. "Just wondering." Her answer came a little too fast. "No, I came straight home. Why?" I stared at her, trying to decide if I should press further, but something about her tone stopped me. Instead, I just said, "Okay," and went back to the kitchen, feeling the weight of suspicion settle on my shoulders. Over the next week, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Maya was distracted. She'd leave for work early, come home late, and spend more time on her phone than ever. One night, as she sat next to me scrolling through Instagram, I couldn't take it anymore. "Maya," I said, "what's going on with you?" "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice defensive. "You've been distant lately. Is there something you're not telling me?" She sighed, putting her phone down. "Evan, you're being paranoid. I'm just stressed with work." "Stressed with work, huh? So stressed you're holding hands with someone else?" Her face paled. "What are you talking about?" "Nate saw you," I said bluntly. "Downtown, with some guy." Maya's lips parted, but no words came out. Finally, she said, "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" "Because right now, I don't know what to believe," I said, my voice rising. She stood up, crossing her arms. "Evan, I don't have to defend myself against some random accusation. Nate probably saw someone else." But the way her eyes darted to the side told me everything I needed to know. That weekend, Maya and I went to a party hosted by our mutual friends, Sarah and James. It was supposed to be a casual night, drinks, laughs, and a chance to relax after a tense few weeks. But tension had a way of following us wherever we went lately. When we arrived, Sarah greeted us warmly. "Maya, Evan, grab a drink and join us. We're about to get started." I poured myself a beer, sticking to something light since I didn't feel like drinking much. Maya, on the other hand, poured herself a heavy-handed glass of wine. She was on her second drink before we'd even made it out to the patio. "Maya, take it easy," I murmured as I leaned close to her. She rolled her eyes, already looking flushed. "I'm fine, Evan. Relax for once." The party was in full swing, music blasting, people laughing, drinks flowing. I tried to enjoy myself, chatting with a few friends, but I couldn't stop glancing at Maya. By her fifth glass of wine, her laughter had turned loud and slurred. "Hey, let's play a game," someone shouted. "Truth or dare," Sarah suggested with a mischievous grin. Everyone cheered, including Maya. "No way," I muttered under my breath. "Oh, come on, Evan," Maya said, nudging me. "It'll be fun. Like the old days." I sighed but sat down in the circle with everyone else. The game started off light. People were daring each other to take silly shots or answering harmless questions about past relationships and embarrassing stories. Then it was Maya's turn. "Truth or dare?" James asked. "Truth," she slurred, giggling as she leaned back against the couch. "All right," James said, smirking. "What's one thing you would change about Evan?" The room fell quiet for a moment, the question hanging in the air. I sat up straighter, suddenly on edge. "Maya," I began, but she cut me off. "Oh, that's easy," she said, waving me off with a drunken laugh. "I'd change his—" Skills in bed. The circle erupted into nervous laughter, but my stomach dropped. Maya wasn't done. I mean, he tries, but it's just not enough. He doesn't satisfy me. She leaned forward conspiratorially, whispering loudly enough for the whole room to hear. Honestly, I wish he was bigger. That would help. The laughter died instantly. The silence was deafening as everyone stared at me, awkward and uncomfortable. My face burned. I wanted to disappear. Maya, I said through gritted teeth. That's enough. She giggled, oblivious to the weight of what she'd just said. What? It's the truth, isn't it? I stood up abruptly, grabbing her arm. We're leaving, now. What? Evan, come on, it was just a joke, she protested, stumbling as I pulled her to her feet. Say goodbye, I snapped, not bothering to look at anyone else in the room. Dragging her out to the car, I didn't say a word. She kept babbling drunkenly, laughing like nothing had happened. When we got home, I slammed the car door behind her and turned to face her. How could you say something like that? I demanded, my voice shaking with anger. She blinked at me, confused. What are you talking about? You humiliated me, Maya, I shouted. In front of our friends. How could you talk about our private life like that? Her expression shifted and she crossed her arms. Oh, grow up, Evan. It's not that serious. Not that serious, I repeated, stunned. You just told a room full of people that I'm not good enough for you. Well, maybe you're not, she snapped, her voice dripping with venom. I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. You know what, Maya? I've had enough of your games, your lies, and your complete lack of respect for me. She rolled her eyes, but her voice faltered. Evan, you're being dramatic. Get out of my face, Maya, I said coldly, turning away from her. Just leave me alone. She didn't say another word. Instead, she stumbled upstairs, still muttering to herself, her footsteps heavy and uneven. A few moments later, I heard the bedroom door slam shut. I stayed in the living room, sinking into the couch as the silence settled around me. For the first time, I didn't follow her or wonder what she was doing. I just sat there, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of the mess we'd become. Something between us had shattered, and as much as I wanted to deny it, I knew deep down it wasn't going to be put back together. My thoughts kept circling back to her words. He doesn't satisfy me. I wish he was bigger. Was that all I was to her now? A failure in bed? Someone she could openly ridicule in front of our friends? And then my mind wandered to what Nate had told me. I saw her downtown, Evan. She was with another guy holding hands. At the time, I'd wanted to believe Nate was wrong, or at least mistaken. But now I couldn't shake the thought. If Maya wasn't satisfied with me, maybe she'd found someone else who could fill in the gaps. I didn't want to believe it, but the doubt kept gnawing at me, growing louder and louder until I couldn't ignore it anymore. When I finally made my way upstairs, I peeked into our bedroom. Maya was sprawled out on the bed, fully clothed and already passed out. Her soft snores filled the room, her phone sitting carelessly on the nightstand beside her. A war broke out inside me. Part of me told me to walk away, to let it go. But the other part? The part that couldn't stand not knowing? That part won. I grabbed her phone from the nightstand, clutching it tightly, and headed back downstairs. I sat on the couch, staring at the screen for a long moment before opening it, feeling the weight of what I might uncover pressing down on me. Maya wasn't exactly cautious when it came to passwords. She'd always used her birthday. I opened her messaging app, and at first there was nothing unusual. Work messages, group chats with her friends, memes from Sarah. But as I scrolled further down, a name I didn't recognize caught my eye. Adrian. I tapped on the thread. My stomach dropped. The messages went back months. Sweet nothings, flirty exchanges, plans to meet up. And then, as I scrolled further, my heart sank. There were photos, pictures of them together, hugging, kissing, lying in bed. Some were taken in what was clearly a hotel room, while others were unmistakably from our own house. I kept scrolling, my breath growing shallow. And then came the videos, intimate videos. Moments she was supposed to share only with me, moments that were sacred, private, and ours, were now exposed on the screen in front of my eyes. It wasn't just the act itself that gutted me. It was the way they had chosen to immortalize it. They wanted to remember the moment. They captured it, recorded it like it was something to be proud of, like it was something worth preserving. Each image, each frame was a blow I couldn't absorb. My mind reeled as I processed what I was seeing. I wanted to stop, to throw the phone away, but I couldn't. It was as if I needed to see the full extent of her betrayal, even though every second of it was tearing me apart. I felt like I was going to throw up. My chest tightened, and I could barely breathe as I watched her with this man, Adrian. He wasn't just a fling. They'd been together for 5 months. I sat there for a moment, staring at the phone in my hands. Then, with trembling resolve, I forwarded the photos and videos to my own phone. I needed evidence, not just for my peace of mind, but because I knew this wasn't something I could ignore or confront her about blindly. Once the files were sent, I deleted our messages from her device, making sure there was no trace that I had found out. Carefully, I placed it back on the nightstand, exactly where it had been, and left the room as quietly as I had entered. That night I lay awake in the living room, staring at the ceiling. My mind was a whirlwind of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. 5 months. She had been cheating on me for 5 months. Every moment we had spent together, every laugh, every kiss, it all felt like a lie. My marriage was over and I knew it. There was no coming back from this. The next morning, I didn't even wait for her to wake up. I left the house early and drove straight to a lawyer's office. If my marriage was over, I needed to act fast to protect myself. I explained the situation and showed him the evidence I had found. He nodded grimly and assured me that we could begin the divorce process immediately. By the time I got home, Maya was awake and acting as if nothing had changed. But for me, everything had. My heart was broken, but my resolve was set. I wasn't going to let her betrayal destroy me. The tension between us was palpable, but she didn't seem to sense it. She was in the kitchen, humming as she prepared breakfast, acting as if everything was normal. But inside, I felt like everything had crumbled. Finally, I spoke, my voice tight and controlled. "Maya, we need to talk." She paused, glancing at me with furrowed brows. "What about?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I had to say. "I know about Adrian." Her eyes went wide, and for the first time in weeks she looked genuinely caught off guard. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, putting down the spatula she was holding. "Evan, don't start with me." I didn't waste any time. I pulled my phone from my pocket and showed her the photos and videos. Maya froze, her face draining of color as she saw the intimate images of her with Adrian. I didn't mean for this to happen," she stammered, trying to form some sort of excuse. "You didn't mean for it to happen?" I spat. "How could you not? You chose this. For 5 months, Maya, you've been lying to me." Tears welled up in her eyes. I was confused. I wasn't happy. I needed someone to understand me." "You needed someone to touch you," I shot back, "and you even let him film it. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice." Her face twisted with regret. "I'm sorry, but I wasn't satisfied in bed. I needed more. I needed excitement again," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "But I never wanted to hurt you." "You did hurt me, Maya," I said, shaking my head. "First you embarrassed me in front of our friends, and now this? I can't believe it." "I'm sorry, Evan. I never meant for things to get this far." "I'm done, Maya," I said, my voice cold. "I've already filed for divorce. It's over." Her eyes widened. "What? You're serious?" I didn't respond. There was nothing more to say. I turned away from her and started packing my things. The finality of it all hit me as I zipped up my bag. I wasn't going to stay in this house anymore. This house that was once a home, now a reminder of everything that had crumbled. I grabbed my things and left, heading to a hotel. Once I was settled in, I took a deep breath. I sent the photos and videos to our friends and family. It wasn't about revenge, it was about the truth. They deserved to know who she really was, what she had done. I couldn't keep the lie anymore. The reactions were mixed. Some reached out, expressing their sympathy. Others were shocked, and a few even sided with Maya. But in the end, it didn't matter. I had done what I needed to do. The weight of the betrayal was lifted, even if the pain still lingered. Maya moved out shortly after. She didn't fight me for the house or for anything else. She didn't try to cling to anything, perhaps because she knew she had nothing left. The divorce was finalized, and I started rebuilding my life. Though I still didn't know what the future held, one thing was certain: I would never let anyone treat me like that again. I wasn't broken. I was free. Thank you for watching.